what I had filed in the courts, and we're talking about here in 2015 and 2016 around here. This is documents again, where it had been stamped void because I am protesting and trying to get the court's attention to take action about getting this judge off the case around up over here, which depriving me of not only my civil and constitutional right, but even depriving and the authority of the Constitution that is requiring for judges under this rule here, 28 U.S.C. 455, to be obligated to get off the case, and by not doing so, it is in violation of Constitution. U.S. Constitution. Matter of fact, and I believe I stated this here, was filed with the district court down here. I have this February the 16th of 2016, this year. And and this case was also scheduled for a hearing in regards to their juror trial. Yeah, back in October, I think October the 3rd of 2016 here of this year, 2016. But something happened. And I explain and read and what I have filed motion concerning what happened and why come a lot of the juror trial stuff was not will not take place in regards to this here matter. And what I have filed is motions strongly say in opposition against the practice of fraud upon the courts, in violation of civil and constitutional rights, 14th Amendment rights, due process of law, right to juror trial, fraudulently deprivation of rights behind the scenes and behind the color of law, and dismissing of case. Yes, eventually the same judge here that dismissed the General Mills case here back in 2011 around up over here. Eventually I could see clearly why come they wanted to make sure that this same judge get on this case here involving with Lamar's and them before he can do the same thing. The only difference is with the General Mills and them case back over, he dismissed it which is in its entirety with prejudice. But in this case here with Lamar's, they just dismissed it, and playing the games around up over where you didn't file in a timely manner within the 28 days or whatever it is. Frauds up on the court is in violation of civil and constitutional rights. My biggest issue is why did the district courts, the Court of Appeal, chief judges, and all these folks who knew and who was fully aware of this situation that I have perpetually been bringing it to their attention, none of them did not do one thing to correct it, but they allowed it. And this is what I'm saying. In violation of civil and constitutional rights. And if this type of practice is going on behind the walls of the courts with certain lawyers and certain judges, well then where do we as a people stand? And when I'm speaking about we as a people, I'm talking about basically of all nationalities, but particularly minorities or blacks. Where do we stand? Where do our rights stand? When you have certain lawyers and judges aiding in the conspiracy along with corporate world or corporations. So, however, I just want this here to be known. And the question to the American peoples, what would you think the courts would have done to me if I intentionally submitted false documents, lying with the intent to scheme, to deceive them and believing something that is not true, and submitting lies under what they call due process or sending things under certified mail is what I'm trying to say. Certified certificate of mailing and documents and things. I wonder what the courts would have said or done to me if they found that I have lied and submitted false documents and things like they have done. And they is referred to General Mills, the union, certain lawyers, chief judges. I wonder what would happen. I even stated under the full penalty of perjury that to the best of my knowledge, with my complaints against General Mills, the union, my former attorney, the lawyers, names, and even judges still in this particular lawsuit, even against Lamar's and even the opposing counsel who's representing Lamar's and defended themselves here in 2016, 2015, 2016, because it was filed. I filed suit against them back in 2015 here, and it rolled over into 2016. So both years. I have stated under the full penalty of perjury, to the best of my knowledge, that my complaints against them is true. I even asked the court to have them to also, under the full penalty of perjury, to swear that what I'm saying is not true, if I'm disfabricating against these individual. Pardon me. But no, they just dismissed, closed the case, swept it under the rug like, oh well, so what? Bye-bye. Go ahead on. And the case, again, as I stated earlier, was scheduled for a jury trial here in October the 3rd of 2016. Well, apparently that it's not going to happen, because they turned right around and dismissed the case, because there was a whole lot of fraudulent stuff that was going on, as I stated here. And even the case was it was scheduled for mediation, I believe November the 10th of 2015. Well, something happened. That didn't occur. All of a sudden, around the, I believe the 7th or either the 9th of November, however, I received a call from the opposing counsel's secretary or whichever, or paralegal, whoever the young lady is, stating that the mediation had been canceled. Okay, why is that? Well, I come to find out that the mediation was canceled because of whatever it is that the opposing counsel had written to the mediator person that was going to be over the mediation. There was a conflict of interest of whatever it is that he had written in his letter to her, which he claims he have no idea what it is that she's talking about. I said, that's ridiculous. How are you not going to know what she's talking about, and whatever the conflict of interest is in your letter that you had written to this individual who's supposed to be conducting mediation? Why wouldn't you know? Oh, well, he stated and alleged, well, he have no idea, she didn't explain anything, but yet all on the same token is from whatever it is he written to her in a letter that was written from him to her, and she pointed it out in his letter that whatever this one thing is, it is a conflict of interest, but he alleging that he have no idea what she's talking about, and that he have no right to even ask her what she's talking about. So when I filed a motion requesting to just give me the letter, oh no, that didn't happen. That's confidential. Well, all this is confidential. We're talking about mediation in your case, and you trying to evaluate or whatever it is on the weakness and strength of my case involving my lawsuit against Lamar's and you all. Well, why shouldn't I know? I mean, hey, after all, oh well. Anyway, it was confidential. I didn't receive it, and he's still alleging as if, well, there's no way, he has no idea on why she's saying that this is a conflict of interest, what it is, but yet he wrote whatever it is that she pointed out in his letter that he wrote to her. This is a conflict of interest. So anyway, these are kind of crazy things that I'm talking about, the deprivation of rights and, and conspiracy and all kinds of stuff. And anyway, the whole mediation deal was shut down. She just shut the whole thing down. However, it was still scheduled for jury trial, as I stated a few times earlier. Back in October here, the 3rd, is supposed to be coming up here, 2016. Well, they just made sure, and they am referring to this particular judge and the opposing counsel for Lamar's and the defendant Lamar's and all of them. Well, they just made sure that this particular same judge that was on the General Mills case closed it down. So that's a conspiracy I'm talking about, and there's a total conflict of interest. And all this here was brought to the court's attention, brought to the chief judge's attention down here in the district court, brought to the chief judge's attention up here into the Court of Appeal up in St. Louis. And I even had in my red dress of grievance even sent this here even up to the United States Supreme Court to inform them that, hey, this is the same judge, ironically, is still on this same new lawsuit case that I had to file complaints against several years, that is in my writ of certiorari that I filed up to the United States Supreme Court about him lying, withholding information, and conspiracy and fraud and backpedaling and sidetracking. Well, why is he allowed to still be on this case? Well, I still informed the United States Supreme Court about it. Oh, well, they just, well, oh, well. So this is what I'm talking about. A lot of the injustice that I am personally experiencing through the walls of behind the walls of the courts. And as a citizen of the United States, I am entitled to have my rights upheld by the Constitution. My rights, privilege, immunities, and just like we all as citizens. The 14th Amendment, please, all that was deprived. They use it however they want to use it, and mean when I'm talking about the law. However they want to use it, you know, they did everything they can to make sure that whatever they presented about this judge being on this case, which the law say he should not have been on there, they make it appear like, oh, well, him being on there is the right thing to do. We see nothing wrong. And I'm talking about the chief judge and folks up there in the higher up court up here in St. Louis and the Court of Appeal. All of them was aware of it. I even made the United States Supreme Court aware of it. So anyway, as I'm saying, you know, as a citizen of the United States, I just want to share my personal experience with a lot of the injustice and stuff that's going on behind the walls of the courts in this experience around here. And only God knows how many more people that are going through things, and even worse. But still, that don't justify the corruption and stuff that's going on behind the scenes and allowing this judge to remain on this case and closing this case and key people's in position that could do something about it. Means chief judges and lawyers and judges and whatever in the courts. Just close the case to it. And as I stated earlier, and I even mentioned in the in my question presented, even with the United States Supreme Court, I posed a question to the courts, to the district court, to the Court of Appeal, and even to the United States Supreme Court. You know, if I had submitted false documents and things around here and withheld information in line that the law requires for me not to do, or refusing to send documents and things which the law requires me to send, you know, would the courts have overlooked or made excuses to overlook my actions? Well, of course, I didn't get a response from them on that, but nevertheless, we already know. They would have hit me with every law and everything that they can think they can come up with. Perjury and lying and withholding information and contempt of court and the whole 9 yards, and probably laws that's not even in existence. But nevertheless, but when General Mills, the former attorney, the union, and the law firm, and all their opposing counsels is representing them, they can submit false documents and lying alleging that didn't file in a timely manner back here in 2011. That was okay. All that was fine and okay. Former judge here was still over that. That's fine and well. Judge withholding information, lying, fraud, in violation of federal Court of Appeal laws and things, requiring that all documents be sent up if it's within the confinements of the federal the federal courts or the district court down there. If they have documents and things that they have retained, they must send it up to the Court of Appeal. Oh well, that didn't happen. But all that was fine and well, despite laws saying that for those who refusing to that they withheld information and sending false documentation stuff around there. You know how that kind of stuff is criminal, especially when they sit up here and submit through certified mail alleging that what they are saying is true and they know it's not. Tampering and falsifying documents and statements and things. That's straight out criminal, according to federal, rules of evidence. I believe that's 902 12C or whichever. And well, all that kind of stuff. Apparently that don't apply to them. So this is what I'm saying. As a citizen of this great nation of the United States, a lot of the prejudice and the deprivation of rights that the law calls criminal under the color of law, and even the courts and things and the laws and stuff speaks about this type of behavior, and crime act and all kind of stuff under the color of law. Well, I guess it all depends on who it is that commits it. So anyway, as I said, as Robert C. Dupree, I just wanted to bring this injustice out, and I'm still making a stand to stand up for my civil and constitutional rights. And that's the beauty about this great nation, that we have the right to protest for our rights. And through the grace of God, well, I still want to continue to protest for my rights and make this known. So I'm asking the American people to just view this here, look at it, leave your comments. Tell me what you think about it. Should this judge have been recused off the case, or should this have been allowed to stay on it, and and the courts did nothing about it but just allowing this to go on? So anyway, and through the grace of God, I will continue to stand up for my rights and make a protest against.